Hello, everybody. Hi to YouTube, actually, this time, because this will be the first for that.
First time for everything.
Yep. So, for those that will be new for all of this, my name is Strix the Lion, the Alpha of the Pride. And I'm also joined by a couple of my friends here. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
I'm Jurassic Nate.
Belladon Duke.
Nate is a streamer as well. I will have his YouTube and Twitch linked into the description when we are done with this. And also happy Pokemon Day. So we're going to take today just to kind of talk about that stuff. Also, the Pokemon Direct that came out today with a lot of weird ass things.
The timing threw me off for that because it said 9 a.m. PST.
Yeah, Pacific.
So wouldn't that have made it? No, it was 7 or something.
Yeah.
It was
So
7 for Pacific, so that's 9 for us.
But it
But I
came out
woke
at
up
9 for me. It started at 9 for me. So,
Which,
yeah.
it threw me off because I woke up at 8:45. I was like, oh, cool, I have time to get up and get ready for it.
It was already done.
It was already done. I was like,
Yeah, I don't know. I think that might have been a misprint on their end.
like I got on Facebook and the first thing I saw was like one of the big announcements. I was like, did I miss it?
Yes, you
Went to
did.
YouTube, and sure enough, I did. I was like, oh.
So I will not be
Okay.
showing the Direct on here. Probably most everyone has already seen it by now. Anyone that's interested in it, I would say.
And if not, you know where to find it.
Exactly.
Pokemon presents February 27th.
There we go. Turn that music up. I just noticed it wasn't picking up on my OBS.
It's like 5 minutes, so.
Yeah, like 25 or so. Very first thing, which was absolutely hilarious to me, Pokemon Sleep. That was first announced in May of 2019, and we never heard of it again until today.
I think the funniest thing about that, like, I don't know anything about this product, but the funniest thing about it was their Twitter thing that you brought up before we went live.
Yes. So right after the Direct, the Pokemon Sleep got a Twitter page like they do for all other things, Pokemon Unite, Pokemon Go, things like that. The comment they made is, "Sorry we are so late, we were tired."
Like, that's genius. That's genius marketing. Like, I have to give you props for that.
I haven't seen the Twitter thing yet, but
I just saw it right before this.
Like, I love the guy's comment of "sorry to keep you waiting," or "we know you've been waiting for this." And it's like, yeah. But
Have we? We kind of forgot about it.
I had no idea it was a thing until I watched it. I was like, what is Pokemon Sleep?
Yeah, no, they first announced it, and there's like no details almost whatsoever. It was just one of those like little announcement, little bubbles that had the name of it, because it was put next to Pokemon Home and Unite. It was announced at the same time as Home was.
Oh, wow.
Well, it got overpowered.
It fully did. Other things from the Direct, the Pokemon Cafe remix stuff, it's fine. Cool, they're adding in the starters to that. I've played it ever so slightly, but never really cared.
Isn't it like a phone mobile game?
It's a mobile game. Pokemon Unite.
Mobile,
I-
and it's also for your Switch.
Yeah, it is on the Switch. Unite, cool that they're adding in a Legendary.
Remind me, it has Best Boy.
He has the Rowlet. I has giant Luxray over here. He's sitting next to me. But yeah, adding in a Legendary, or they've already had a couple, but Zacian, a box Legendary being added in to be playable is kind of cool in my opinion.
I like Pokemon Unite. Like, I don't give it enough time.
I haven't played it
But
since
when
it
I do
released,
play
but
it-
I do want to go back to it.
When I do play it, like, it's a fun time. Like, I'll boot it up and play it before my Pokemon streams, and I'll just...
It's
This
just,
is actually a good time.
it's decently mindless. Like, enough of, you have to think about it, but it's still, it's fine.
I played it once. It did not hold my attention span.
It's
Unfortunately.
basically a dumbed down League of Legends, but Pokemon.
Yeah, I understand the premise of it, and yeah, it's fun, but it's just like, nah, not my cup of tea.
Nah, not for everybody.
Yeah. It's fine.
I want to at least unlock Rowlet.
You mean the Decidueye in there?
Well, you start off as a starter and then you evolve into
Yes.
the final form. So yeah. But to answer your question, yes.
And then the biggest highlights for the Direct, one of those being the TCG, actually, bringing back the original art for Blastoise, Charizard, and Venusaur. Also, that play mat, which looks like a full wooden box, is really cool to me.
Which I do have like a Facebook post about that.
I thought that portion of the announcement was amazing. I loved how unnecessarily dramatic.
Seriously, just that
I love-
video was like, what? My
I
first,
love their trailer. Something.
my
like,
very
some of
first thought of that when they showed the guy carrying the briefcase and we didn't see the face, like, oh wait, Larry, is this Scarlet and Violet? No, it's the TCG.
Oh, it's not Larry. Okay, wait, what? Oh, you have my attention.
They're very good about their dramatizations. And
Oh, yeah.
with that, also the intro movie that they were showing for the Scarlet and Violet DLC was really cool.
Yeah.
I like the idea with their DLC of them going overseas as a foreign exchange student.
Excited about that because specifically the name of the school that they mentioned was
Blueberry.
but it was in English, so that implies that it's going to be a primarily English-speaking country. So it could be maybe they're going to tie in a little bit of Sword and Shield, or
Well,
maybe they may be introducing some.
What they were showing was, for one, the first DLC looked like a Tiki Mask guy, which is not a common thing for any kind of English or, well, I can't say much for Japanese, I don't know theirs as well. I don't want to be off on that. I know they have the big mask culture there, but not as much for the Tiki style. So I almost feel like it might be going over to Alola.
Yeah, that sounds more right.
I didn't think of that.
Which, give me, like, Alola's one of my favorite gens.
Mhm.
So,
And then the other DLC, the little crystal turtle is so adorable.
Made me think Galapagos, so we might be getting Pacific Islands.
We might be. Which could be a hint as to what the next region might be based off of.
Mm-hmm. Also, I love everyone's reactions to the first part of the DLC. Everyone's comparing it to Majora's Mask.
Yeah! I saw that. Which I'm
I saw
fine
someone
with.
post 4 pictures, like, it was comparing the mask Pokemon to, like, the Majora's Mask, like I said, and the turtle to, like, the Simon Says Bop It game. Like the colorized one.
Well, I like that the back of the turtle has every single type on it. So it's basically, it's where the terrestrialization, I guess, started at. It's something that involves that.
Oh.
Did you not notice that on the turtle?
I noticed the symbols, but I didn't make the terrestrialization connection.
Yeah. So I'm curious if that has to do with the entire terrestrial phenomenon. Because we don't get a full explanation other than the fact that, you know, Area Zero is where a lot of the stuff comes from.
It might.
I am curious on that. And then the other big thing that released today, the 2 new Paradox Pokemon.
And I want my Dinokin.
Yeah, the Suicune that's a raptor is really interesting to me.
I want my Dinokin.
I already have both of them in game, so...
Of course.
Look, as soon as they released, I went and grabbed them. It's a 5-star, you can solo it.
I'm still not overly fond of the Suicune's design, but it is slowly growing on me.
Oh, it grew on me the second I saw it. I was like, is that
Well,
a Dino?
Yeah, well, yeah, Dino.
I like.
Gee, I wonder why, Fluff.
Exactly. Just strokes the beard.
I know not what you speak.
So before we move on to a couple of other, some of the smaller things, what would you like to see out of the DLCs? I mean, obviously we're gonna want to see if there's any more of the Paradox Pokemon, but like, is there any specific Pokemon you'd like to see with that? By the way, I can tell you they're not gonna do anything with Decidueye because it already has a form from Hisui.
I wasn't gonna say this, Decidueye.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say my other best boy, Tyrant. I want to see some more Tyrantrum.
The thing is, with that, we might actually get all the fossil Pokemon again. Because we already have the time travel stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
True.
And one thing I noticed about the Direct Presents thing when they were talking about the DLC is they showcased some of the Pokemon that are going to be included.
Yeah, the new Pokemon, or not new, but the older Pokemon that are being released with each one of them.
Like one, we're getting Ninetales, which means we're getting Vulpix, yay. The Nuzleaf, Yanma, Melodic, and the Teal Mask, Part 1. And then Part 2, the one that really intrigued me was we're getting the Thunder Horse again.
Zebstrika, which is actually its first time out of the DS game, if I remember correctly.
So
It outside of like Pokemon Go, honestly, they haven't really used that one.
Which I'm happy about because I want to shiny hunt it. But also, I love that they put Esper in there because, yay, more kitties.
which means you can actually do the all cat team.
Yes!
Looking forward to Dugong.
Dugong, yeah.
Because that's another one that just hasn't really been.
I mean, you've seen it, but it doesn't get it wasn't in any of the Switch titles except for Let's Go because that was its original gen.
Yeah.
Also, curiosity, because of some of the art I saw, makes me curious if we might actually have confirmation on a possible Legend Celebi for a Gen 2. Because considering they have the Primal for Suicune now, and the Scarlet book showed a picture of all Suicune, Entei, and Raikou mixed together, I'd be curious if there might be some workings on that.
Like, Let's Go Johto?
Let's Go Johto, I don't think they're going to continue that series because that one did not go over as well. Arceus outsold it so much.
Yeah, more of an Arceus type.
But of course, we get the Venusian stuff with Gen 5. We already know that's coming.
I am sad because I was really looking forward to a Let's Go Johto. The Legends Celebi might be interesting.
I am curious how they would do it because we have Celebi as a time travel Pokemon. That would be the one that might possibly bring us to that time period. It could be like the movie itself where we had young Oak come into the future and meet with Ash.
Oh, this is going over my head. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, because you haven't seen that movie yet. I'm
still in the process of binging, so I haven't gotten to any
that
of that yet.
is, I don't remember the name of the movie, but it was one of the first like 4 or 5 where it was involving Celebi and Suicune and the guy that has the Dark Balls, which turn all the Pokemon that are caught into it into evil versions of themselves.
Oh.
Yeah.
That sounds like fun.
It was a really interesting one. But I'm curious if we might get something along those lines for a Legend Celebi. Which would be very interesting to me.
I still need to get Arceus again and give it another shot.
For you, it was just the grinding issue on that.
That's usually the issue.
It really is. So let's move away from the Direct and any kind of speculations about what might be in those. Memories of Pokemon. I know, Nate, yours are a bit more recently. You're binging through the series now.
I'm binging through the whole series. I didn't start Pokemon until 2017.
Well, you had it originally, and then things happened, and
I goofed, and mistakes were made, and
we
about
live with
20
it.
years later, here I am, just now.
That's the thing. You're still deep enough into it to be able to have some of these conversations.
It's me being here right now.
Yep. I would have invited Spence, but he's at work.
But
I know, Bella, your first Pokemon game was Crystal.
See, it was a game that my sister and I shared, which is exactly as difficult as you expect it to
Oh
be.
yeah, because
she would-
multiple different files, which you can't have on those.
Oh yeah, because she would play it and then like save her stuff, and then I'd like play around on it and try not to save the game, which worked fine until I got up to like the Pokemon League, and I had to if I was gonna keep playing. And she got mad at me and hasn't played it since.
I mean, obviously you have the stronger connection to it then.
I will say, I feel like I did the right thing with my first Pokemon, because what I did was I bought a 2DS and Omega Ruby, but I also bought Pokemon Yellow, the digital, on the Nintendo store, and that's the first game I played.
That was probably a good start for that. Although, I know some of your complaints with the newer generations of not having the wild encounters in the grass, and it's all overworld stuff.
Well, which is funny, because I really enjoy Shield, but Scarlet and Violet, I don't... I
For
like
you,
what it does,
you're not as
but
big a fan of fully open world. I've
I like
noticed
fully
that.
open world. I just wish they did more like the wild encounter. You know, that's part of the charm.
Instead of
Pokemon
literally
up until this
everything
point.
being out in the open.
Oh, I can see all those right there. I can see all these right here. Cool. Like, I can see the appeal to it, especially for like the newer generation.
And that's
of
what
people
they're
coming up
going
with
for.
Pokemon.
Mhm.
Because let's be honest, this gen was pretty easy except for like that final bit of it.
Yeah, that thing.
Because
Yeah.
none of the gym leaders or the other leaders that you have to fight even using healing items. Like, not even the champion uses healing items.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that.
I didn't either.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
none of them use healing items. No one in there except for your own character, not even your rival, uses healing items.
She wouldn't though.
No, Nimona wouldn't.
She wouldn't. I love Nimona. She might be my favorite rival.
My very first interaction with Pokemon was also in Crystal. It was a copy that I borrowed from a friend in first grade. And as of now, it's not my normal starter I choose in there, but my first starter was Totodile. Now I usually go for Cyndaquil. But
My first one was Chikorita, but now I also usually go for Cinderella.
yeah, poor Chikorita just got shafted in that gen.
Yeah. Poor baby.
Yeah. After that was just kind of a progression. Anime was never a thing for me because, weirdly enough, my parents are on that religious side. They said that Pokemon was worshipping the devil, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Wasn't. So I was allowed to watch Yu-Gi-Oh! But not Pokemon. We see what's wrong here.
Thanks, Mom. Yeah, I'm totally gonna sit here and watch this card game show. Thanks.
Do we see
Little
what-
did she know.
I mean, the fact that, you know, for someone that's in a Christian household, you know, following entire Egyptian logic and gods and things, yes, that's totally fine, but watching animals fight isn't.
And they transform into different forms, you know, as they grow. Yeah, that's.
Well, I mean, Egyptian, it's still religion. Question.
Well,
mark?
technically so is
It's
Scientology and evolution.
Yeah. But
But-
we're not here to get into
although-
religion. We're
yeah.
here to talk about the
Yeah, back then
Pokemans.
Scientology didn't exist, so.
Yeah, yeah. Stupid spaghetti monster.
um,
I will eat you.
the funny thing for me, my favorite generation was not even a game I owned. I stole it from one of my friends and they never found out. Yeah,
Until now.
my original, well, I don't talk to that friend anymore, unfortunately. They were a very good friend, but it's been forever because they moved away. Yeah, Pokemon Pearl. He had both copies. He had Diamond and Pearl, so I was like, he won't need this.
Gee, I wonder why.
No, he had them before I took it. He had both copies then, so I was like, he has the other one. I'll just take this one.
No, I'm talking about. I wonder why that's your favorite gen. Looks at the plush beside you.
Yeah. And the funny thing was, he originally was not my favorite, but as I came more into how I am, because, you know, all the furry stuff and things, and figuring out what my actual animal...
Who you are as a person.
Yes. Originally it was Absol, which was a Gen 3 mon.
Really?
Absol is still my number 2, but yes, Absol was my favorite originally.
Okay. Isn't it a thing where it's like its special attack is bogus, but it mainly learns special attacks?
I don't remember on that one. All I know is that I love its design. I love the diversity it had, because it could learn like 7, 8 different types in a really early generation. And yeah. Also, the whole episode of it in the anime with the disaster Pokemon stuff, where it was thought that it was evil, but it was actually trying to warn people about the things that were coming.
You said that was Gen 3, right?
Yeah, it was a Gen 3.
Okay, so I'm not there yet.
No, you're not there yet. I can't tell you the full episode, I just remember bits and pieces of it, but yeah, it was one of those, like, the town that he was trying to protect thought that he was bringing all these disasters to them when he was actually trying to warn them about them. But, you know, because we can't understand Pokemon talking.
Let's just finish scan. I just saw that episode.
Yeah.
I will say, going back and like watching the original anime. I say the original, just watching the anime. Some of it doesn't hold up, but a majority of it still does.
Surprisingly, it does.
Like, I don't dread it. Like, because
we were talking about
you
this.
watch something from your kid, from your childhood,
Mm-hmm.
and you just, oh my god, this is the greatest thing on the planet. 9 times out of 10, as an adult, when you go back and rewatch that stuff, oh, this doesn't hold up at all. Good prime example: Street Sharks. Does not hold up, but it was one of my favorite shows as a kid.
There's that. Funnily enough, one of the ones that I watched does still hold up as well. Yu-Gi-Oh! Surprisingly holds up.
Yeah, and like Pokemon, like I'm enjoying like my run of this. I'm on season 5 now.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Out of like
it's a fun time.
25, 27 seasons of the thing.
I'm getting there. Don't remind me.
Actually, I think it's more than that. I think we're up into the 30s.
I don't think it's that many.
This could be easily looked up.
He says as I begin thusing.
For you, Bella, were you ever with like Pokemon cards or the anime?
The very, very early days of the anime, I remember watching it after I would get done with my homeschool work.
25. Sorry.
35?
My homeschool schoolwork.
25.
25. Okay.
And I did collect the cards for a while, but I only had like Gen 1 cards. But I can't remember what happened to them, and I'm still sad about it.
That's
Like, I had a
about the
whole
same with
bunch
me
too.
for some of the cards I had with Yu-Gi-Oh! I know they're somewhere in storage. I have the original structure decks for the series, but no fucking clue where they are.
Like, they're somewhere at my dad's house, which just means they're probably ruined, or they were stolen by one of my friends and I just never knew about it.
That's possible, but we won't worry about things that are lost way long in the past.
Yeah.
But I had 2 binders full, but they got taken away from me, and now I can never.
That was your own fault there.
Shut up.
Mm,
It was entirely my fault. But technically, the loss of the cards was my parents' fault. Because they didn't pay the storage unit. But neither here nor there. I now want to get more cards.
Speaking of cards, I have a small collection myself, but do you guys collect any of them nowadays? And I remember, Nate, you got at least one of the boxes recently.
Yeah. Mainly because of Best Boy, but that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
the
Cards.
card I'm going to have is going to be the one that Spence is sending.
That's the only one you're going to have?
Yeah, because I used to, for the longest time, had the golden ones, like the ones that you got from like Burger King or something.
Yeah, I remember that because we saw those whenever we went up there.
Yeah.
Is this the one that I put all the
and
cards
had
in?
the
No.
one Mew that you got from like the first movie's theatrical release.
Yeah.
But I gave like the gold ones and that one to Spence just because like, here, you have a collection, I don't, enjoy.
Yeah. Here's all the ones that I have right now. I'm not going to pull them out, but they're just in a box. It's about half full.
We're gonna pretend we can see this because
I
the
know.
way you're recording, like we physically can't see what you're showing.
I know.
This just means you're gonna have to go back and watch it, Nate.
We're going to have to watch it
I
on
mean-
YouTube.
I mean, facts.
Is there anything that you would be looking forward to in the future for the franchise?
I want them to bring the GBA games to Switch in some capacity.
Yeah,
Either it be on the Nintendo Online expansion or like in like a bundle that they sell physically.
Yeah, they didn't announce that with the present
was
today,
I was
which
upset.
I know a lot of people are upset on that one. But with the GBA and GB Virtual Consoles just being announced last month, I'm not fully surprised. We might get a talk about that in like later spring or
Future.
early summer. Who knows on that one? They've already made mention about Pokemon Stadium being introduced for the 64, and I think I saw in their in the Nintendo Direct when they were scrolling through the small bits of games that are available for the GB and the GBA,
The
there was a
trading card
Pokemon
game?
one in there, yeah, the TCG, which leaves open for more stuff to come through.
Oh yeah. I think they'd be, I don't want to say foolish, but they would be remiss to not include Pokemon in that.
Absolutely.
Because you know so many people are playing Pokemon for the first time with Sword and Shield, Let's Go, and now Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah, and then let's introduce them to the older generations.
Especially since you can't really find those games anymore.
Unless you're
So-
emulating them, which we know Nintendo doesn't like you doing.
Yeah. So incorporating all the classic games onto Switch in some capacity would be a real, like, massive opportunity for them.
Yeah,
To make a
honestly,
lot of money.
if they even if it was just buying it, people would do it.
Heartbeat.
They would make a lot off of that for releasing their older games again.
Because even if it's just the GBA games, that's 5 games. You got Fire Red, Leaf Green, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald.
Mm-hmm. And
I
if
feel
you
like it's
had,
something that they're working on, but they
Oh, I have no
haven't
doubt.
gotten-
oh, I'm sure they are. If they released
far enough
all the
along.
originals of GB and the GBC, you're getting original red, blue, gold, silver,
Well,
crystal.
those are already available on.
They're on the DS store,
currently.
but as soon as that,
That's for Switch, yeah.
yeah, on the DS store. But as soon as the store closes, apparently there's talk about those won't work anymore because they're virtual console.
Oh, don't tell me that.
Now, I don't
mean,
know
not-
if the rumor
not
on that
that
is
bad,
true
but-
or not, but there's apparently the talk that that might be a thing.
Yay.
So that might be one of those they're planning as soon as the store dies on there, they're going to port them over to the Switch one.
Yeah.
That might be
But
what
then
they're waiting on.
But then there's the thought of what do you do with the DS games like Black and White, Black 2, White 2, X
The
and
original
White,
Diamond,
Ruby,
Pearl,
Sapphire,
and Platinum.
Omega Ruby, Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon.
That's the thing with those. It's going to be hard to do DS ones because they really relied on the second screen. They sort of did it with BDSP. We're not going to talk much about that because it was trash. Unfortunately,
What they were going with there is fine. It's just the execution wasn't all that great.
I understand doing a faithful remake, but what they did was more just a remaster and a port of it. It was not a remake. A remake does add extra things to it. Because if we look at Oraz, they added a bunch of extra to that, and it was a remake of Gen 3.
And I freaking love those games.
Mm-hmm. That's another thing. If when they get to the remakes of Black and White, I really hope they do better on that.
I hope they do better on the remakes in general.
Yeah, that was a bit of a disappointment.
That's the worst thing is I got myself so happy for it because it was my favorite generation, and it just,
Didn't do anything.
no.
It didn't even have any post-game stuff to it, did it?
The only post game was what it originally had, which was going to the little resort island area and getting a couple of the legendaries that are available after main game. Yeah, there was like nothing for it.
Like, they didn't even add anything that was in Platinum.
No, we didn't have the Distortion World, which would have been cool to see on a DS or a Switch platform. The only thing they added to it was Romanus Park, which took over what used to be the PAL Park on the original, where you could get your Pokemon from the GBA games to the DS.
But yeah, like, great concept, bad execution. Hopefully the next one will be much better.
Like, I love the idea of them doing a faithful remake, which, yes, in their terms, they did a very faithful remake. Like, so
Here's-
faithful it wasn't different.
Here's
That's
something
right,
interesting
yeah,
for me.
cut and paste. taste.
If they follow, the line, the next remake should be black and white. Combine the two games, not
Yeah,
black and white.
do black and
2,
white, but
2.
black 2, white 2 with it. Like, do the first part where you're the first trainer, and then you
Very
have
similar.
like a time skip, or you follow Charon a little bit till you get to where we had black 2, white 2, which was like 2-3 years in the future.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Like what they did with the gold and silver did, well, heart gold, soul silver, where you went through one region, then you went to another.
Yeah.
Do the same thing with the black and white remake, but have black, like, you go through black, and then the post game, quote unquote, is black 2 or white 2, whichever game you get.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I think, exactly what you just said. So
it would be hard for that one, just because it's
It would just
basically the same region with a couple of extra things added to it. But I think there's an execution they could do involving the time skip stuff, or having like a little interlude part of it where you're following Bianca and Charon after your character you played in 1 kind of just disappeared. Because
and you can pick which one you play as.
Yeah, in black 2 and white 2, both of them mention your protagonist from the first one. So it's obvious that they are linked. It's not like they're two different people. So there's a way that they could do it. It'd just take a lot of finagling.
And just a lot of effort,
Then what's effort nowadays, unfortunately?
And then obviously X and Y, I can't wait to see what they do with that gen. Sun and Moon, can't wait to see what they do with that.
X and Y, I hope when they do the remake, they make it harder. Because the original was really easy.
Wasn't there supposed to be like a Z game, but they canceled
There
it?
was
instead.
There was a fan theory on that one, but at that point they'd started following the structure of even numbered gens would have a remake, odd numbered gens would have a sequel.
Huh.
Wow, how have I never noticed that?
Yeah, no, that was a thing starting in Gen 4. Because we got the remake for Heart Gold and Soul Silver. However, we also had the sequel with Platinum. That's kind of where they broke it. Then we get the sequels with Gen 5. No remakes there. We get the remakes of
started
Orez.
the remakes.
Nope. Well, Gen 3 did.
Fire Red, Leaf Green.
Yes, but at that point they were still also having a sequel because Emerald. They had both of them coming at the same time. What happened was, as the technology got harder, it'd be harder to pump out as much stuff, which this previous year kind of showed not on that, because we had BDSP in November, then 3 months later we got Arceus, and then we got in November again, Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah, we got 3 games in a year, so I feel like they need to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, especially with how Scarlet and Violet released.
Yeah. I'm still not sold on it, but...
I'm
It's a good
sold on
game.
the game itself.
game.
I'm not sold on all of the issues with it. They at least fixed a lot of the bugs where we were phasing through shit, but we still have frame drop issues.
Yeah. The saying, less is more? Take a note. Take a note. Less is more.
I'm
Promise.
looking forward to when they release the frame rate fixes, and I hope that's not when they're releasing the DLC, because dear God. Because they said that was fall and winter,
Yeah.
which with Sword and
not.
Shield, the DLCs were summer and winter, so I feel like that's... Yes, they're giving themselves more time for the DLC, but they're being released really close together.
I don't like that. Because that basically means like one might come out in October and one might come out in...
The earliest we could get one
December.
would be September, and then we'd have one in December, because it said 2023, not 2024.
Yeah, so unless they push one back.
Which, if they did, I would be okay with, to be honest.
What was that, Bill?
It's probably going to be somewhere around the holidays.
Yeah. At least for part 2. What gets me is they're releasing them so close together, so it makes me feel like they're trying to pump this out so they can move on to the next thing.
No, they're trying to pump them out for holiday revenue because, they didn't do so well this previous year. That's my thought on that.
Well, the only real game they had was Pokemon.
Yeah, because they had everything else that was just released too early for the holiday season or was pushed back. No, PlayStation kind of ruled the holiday season this year.
A little bit. 3 words, God of War.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised if a lot of this is still just like ripple effects from the pandemic.
It very well might be.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we really want to talk about Pokemon-wise? Like, any kind of memories that you really enjoyed about it that we haven't touched on, or?
I just wish the older games were like more easily accessible. Just easy.
We will probably
Your
get those
hands on.
eventually.
Like,
That moving forward, like with the DLCs that they're going to release and future adaptations and re-releases of the games, that they bring back some of the higher difficulty. I know we've talked about it a little bit before, but I really want them to start being a little harder again.
Yeah, their difficulty kind of peaked when we had Cynthia. Gen 5 had decent difficulty to it. Because they had a lot more of team building and starting of, like, EV training on some of the gym leader stuff in there, which, if you looked in the code original Diamond and Pearl, Cynthia's team was EV trained. Yeah, that's why she is more of a monster.
I remember hearing you and Spence talking about stuff. I still don't know what that means.
EV training is, you know how fighting Pokemon, well, basically it is fighting Pokemon, you get EVs, which are effort values, which helps increase your stats ever so slightly. And if you max them out, you're looking at, like, at least a 15-point gain on your stats, I believe. Which, it does help in the long run, but it's one of those, like, for, if you're doing Nuzlocke, EV training can be the make or break on certain things. Because if you outspeed just slightly, you might be able to get that last hit before your last Pokemon dies.
especially since Nuzlocke, fainting means it's
Death.
dead. You can't use it anymore. Yeah.
Mhm.
Which that leads to, the whole, like, we're talking about we wish they would up the difficulty. I think that's why a lot of people like to do Nuzlocks, because it does add a sense of...
Yes, and that's why a lot of the
Difficulty.
fan games include Nuzlocke options to them. Like, Insurgents literally has a Nuzlocke option on there.
I still want to play Insurgents.
Talking about not so much the difficulty of keeping Pokemon alive, but the puzzle solving aspect of it.
Yes, because they kind of got rid of that. A lot of the stuff doesn't have puzzles anymore. Because I loved
Yeah,
going through the dungeons, quote-unquote, of, like, the caves and things, and just, having to push blocks around or getting through Victory Road. That's always a fun part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Victory Road actually stopped in Gen 6.
Yeah. All of the, like, you mentioned pushing boulders around and stuff, like, all of the stuff with the ice caves.
Yeah, I was just about to say the ice.
All of the traps that you would have to figure out in Team Rocket hideouts. Or
Yeah.
even just, like, any of the quote-unquote bad guy hideouts. Stuff like that.
All the teleporter pads and shit like that.
Yeah. And even outside of that, just like whenever you're doing random little side quests, not necessarily side quests, but the little mini challenges, like, oh, you have to do this before you can get this one specific HM that you
Yeah,
need
like
before you
bringing
move
back
on.
where you couldn't use an HM until you got a certain gym badge, which, yes, on one hand was annoying, but at the same time it was one of those you had to progress the story to be able to use these things and do backtracking, which was really
Yeah.
cool. It made you go back to other things. Whereas
Which-
with BDSP, where you could just click on it, didn't have to have Pokemon with you. Yes, cool, awesome.
Yeah, it's convenient. I liked what Sun and Moon did with it.
The ride Pokemon?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that was a very cool thing.
Which also was kind of a thing in X and Y, but the way they did it in Sun and Moon, like,
X and
Sun
Y
and Moon is
did-
my favorite gen. I'm just, like, I think Sun and Moon is my favorite overall.
X and Y didn't quite as much as you did have the HMs, but they were not blocked by gym badges as far as I was aware. I think Gen 5 actually did away with the gym badge requirement for a lot of them. Because you only had, I think, 6 HMs in Gen 5.
Well, hell, what was it? they had like 4 water ones:
Did
surf, dive, and
you want to know the one that had the most of them? Gen 2.
yeah,
Gen 2 had a
Surf,
lot.
whirlpool, waterfall.
dive.
Dive was not in Gen
No.
2. That was a Gen 3
No, no.
one.
Oh,
But
Yeah,
okay.
Gen 3.
both of them had 3 water ones.
Yeah, that takes up a lot of slots, so because you can't get rid of them conventionally.
Nope.
Nope.
That's
Which
why
is
I'm
where
glad
a
they
lot
did
of
away with
people had,
HMs.
you know, the HM mules.
Which, yeah. I'd like having no HMs. Because I
I
don't know, it feels
like
it-
not having the HMs, but at the same time, it made more strategy, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Like, do it like they did with BDSP. That's one thing I will compliment them on, was the HM system in there. You didn't have to have a Pokemon with you that knew the move. You would just have what it said was a wild Pokemon, like, hey, we're going to come help you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that honestly, I did like that a lot because, like you said, having a whole bunch of HMs would take up a lot of slots, and if you have that one water Pokemon and 3 of its moves are HM moves, you
You-
have like 1 left.
You kind of lock it out of a lot of shit.
Yeah. And
Granted,
get-
at least the water HM moves were pretty powerful. Surf and
Yeah.
Waterfall are used regularly.
Yeah.
I never used Whirlpool.
but then you
Like, I
had
Surf and Waterfall.
yeah, that thing. But then you had moves like Rock Smash, which are pretty weak.
Rock Smash got at least upgraded somewhat in newer generation, where it was instead of a 20 power, it's a 40 power, but it's still weak
But
for a
still.
fighting move.
By the time you get to like the 4th and 5th gym, that move is
Yeah.
detrimental to
The only
survival.
only of the HMs that had longevity when it came to fighting was Surf.
Fly.
Yeah, Fly, Surf, Waterfall, and Strength.
Yeah, strength was 80.
Yep, Strength was 80 power. And it was a
Strength-
100% accuracy, which means you really didn't miss it.
And then you had dumb moves like in Gen 5, nope, Gen 4.
Rock
Defog.
Climb.
Defog and Rock Climb. And Flash. Just
Flash
you
was not
could-
an HM in
maybe
there. Flash
once.
Flash M stopped being an HM, I believe, in Gen 4.
Yeah.
Thankfully, because when I tell you, whenever I would play or replay a Gen 2 based game, I would teach it to a Pokemon that I don't plan on keeping on my team, and the second I got past like the dark areas in the game, out of my team.
Yeet!
Yeah. But still, that
Or then you get
Takes
the
up a
people that
slot
actually
in your-
memorize the patterns and never have to use Flash.
Yep,
shit I did.
I did.
I did. I did
No.
that with the first cave that you come to, and like right after Cherry Grove Town or whatever it's called.
Yep.
But yeah. I'm excited to see, like what the future of the games will hold. I'm hoping they kind of go back to more of like the
I want to
Quote-unquote
see
beginnings?
a more exotic generation. You know, like going to Australia or going to like the Amazon.
I was about to say South America.
Both of those, I think possibly like a strictly cold region, like maybe
Give us
Arctic.
Russia. That would be a huge ass region.
So many bears.
Or
Again,
Canada,
going
where we
back
get our
to-
first moose.
Going back to my favorite
I
group,
love them.
they gave the Alolan
The Alolan, Vulpix, and Ninetales.
Graveler and Golem.
Oh yeah, the magnets.
When Graveler became Golem and he had the beard.
And then the like magnets pointing out of his back.
Yeah,
Honestly, the Alolan forms were really fucking good.
that's what I'm saying. Like Alola, like I said, Alola's my favorite form for so many reasons, and I love the Alolan forms of a lot of these Pokemon. A lot of ice types.
Yes, they did, which was good because we really didn't have a ton of ice types leading up to that.
I do like whenever they do retypings or new. Like,
They kind of
remix-
missed out on a lot of that in Scarlet and Violet. They had
Yeah.
2 Paldean forms. And then you had new evolutions or the variant versions like Wiglet and that. Wiglet and Toad's Cruel.
I like Toad's Cruel.
It looks so weird. It's got a great typing, don't get me wrong, but it looks so weird running around on those legs.
Funny little guy.
It's like Forrest Gump who never stops running.
I mean, hey, sometimes we all gotta run from our problems.
I do a Scarlet Nuzlocke, and I catch one of those, I'm naming it Forest.
Do it.
I mean, we will be doing a run through of it, but that's not one of the ones I'm having you use.
I mean, I can change that.
I'm the one that's making Nate's, remember?
I'm nervous about
Yeah,
that.
but I'm making yours.
Yes, you are.
And I still have to come up with Bella's. I'm over here like, do I go trolley or do I...
Oh yeah, I guess. Yeah, hi. That's a hint to future content, everybody.
Oh, surprise.
I
Surprise!
think we were planning on doing that after you finish BDSP, right? Or not BDSP, Sword and Shield.
I think we talked about doing that over the summer when Bella's out of class.
Yeah.
That way she can actually focus on the game.
Don't worry, those will be on, at least for Nate, will be on his channel. I'll be recording it for YouTube because, you know, my computer don't like the streaming as much.
But yes.
Be on voice call because I don't stream.
Nope, she mods.
Shall we go
I-
ahead and
sorry.
wrap it up here?
It don't matter. I like talking, but
Yeah, I've got stuff I gotta
You
do.
need sleep.
Yes.
yeah, that thing.
So thank you everybody for stopping by, and
Fun little
welcome
mini
to
podcast.
yeah, welcome to the new YouTube for me. If you would like to stop by for some of the shenanigans that we have with outside of YouTube, I will be providing links for channels and things. Other than that, I hope you all have a good day.
Later.
Bye.